Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Cleo Sol just made her US debut, first at Radio City Music Hall in New York, and then at the Hollywood Bowl. And I just went to the Hollywood Bowl show. And I came in with high expectations based on how sensational she sounds on these songs from her 4 albums. And she blew my expectations, my high expectations, way out of the water. This was pretty, the family that I attended the show with, we pretty much all came out with the same overall takeaway. And that was that this felt like a spiritual experience. This was something else. And I always liked how they marketed this one because Cleo Sol, she has these 4 albums. She's also the main voice that you hear on Salt songs. And she is produced by her husband / producer, Inflo. Inflo also produced, the first few Little Sims albums. Inflo also produces Salt, that kind of mysterious UK collective. And I've always thought that whole team, or at least certain individuals in it, were way underrated out here in the United States. I feel like Little Sims is terribly underrated. For as good as her work has been album over album, I feel like she's been underrated. I feel like Inflo as a producer is underrated, and I have felt that Cleo Sol is underrated. But I'll tell you what, the way that they marketed this thing with making this about Cleo Sol making her US debut and having her do it at very select spots. She had I think 3 different dates at Radio City Music Hall. And then again, she's got that one night only at the Hollywood Bowl in LA. So as the people started to fill up the sold out Hollywood Bowl, you felt like this was something special, like this was some sort of a important moment in music. Not that she is the most famous or commercially successful artist out there. She's not. I feel like she's still kind of I wouldn't use the term underground or anything like that, but she's not a super well-known singer. It's one of those if you know scenarios, which is why she was able to market it in this way and do this one night only and pack out the Hollywood Bowl the way that she did. And a few days earlier, when she was doing those Radio City Music Hall shows and you started seeing some of the reviews coming out of that, it just sounded like she was just tearing the house down night over night. And so you started seeing the OK players and different people posting about how much Cleo Sol just blew them away and how different she is as an overall artist. Look, when I came out of this concert, the name that keeps on getting brought up in terms of a loose comparison is Sade. Not that they are similar vocally, they're really not. But just in the way that Cleo Sol, her band, the backup singers, the producer Inflo, her husband / producer, the way that they have collectively developed this sound, it is so uniquely Cleo Sol in the way that Sade's sound is unique to Sade. Erykah Badu's sound is unique to Erykah Badu. And as impressed as I've been, throughout listening to her songs on her albums, to discovering that she sounds even better live, as impressed as I was about that, I feel like it's even more impressive that as a team, they have worked to develop this lane for her. It's not quite neo soul, although it's got lots of neo soul in it. It's not a gospel sound, although she's singing from a place of faith. And with some of the songs, variety, you've got a little reggae, you've got a little Afro beat, you've got some funk, and there's a pretty eclectic mix to her sonic palette. But I'll tell you what, it's when she gets into those R&B / neo soul / gospel like ballads that she really shines the brightest. It's pretty remarkable. So whatever following Cleo Sol had before coming to the US, I think that her reputation based on these performances is gonna grow pretty tremendously. I'm looking at her Instagram following it has grown just over the past 72 hours, right? So I think that we're hitting the point where the word is kind of out there now. It's not like one of those music fans kept secrets, which makes the timing of this Hollywood Bowl show and having the privilege of going to this Hollywood Bowl show, that's what makes the timing so special. I feel like this is the most interesting part of an artist's trajectory career-wise. If she goes on, because she's 4 albums in right now, if her next 2 albums end up having a much wider audience, and then she starts touring the US, where it's not just New York City and LA, but she's got a 25 to 35 stop tour, something like that, and then she has another album that might not get rated as highly or something, or she sticks around long enough to where fans might start getting a little bit tired of her, or tired of her being mentioned, or tired of seeing her pop up at the Grammys, that type of thing. I feel like there's like this special spot in an artist's career when they are on that upward trend where their following is growing from this to this and then to this and then to this. Like, you can't recapture this moment in an artist's career. So I think it's actually cooler to catch the artist when they are in that upswing stage than when they are a proven commodity and now they're just pretty much doing it more so as a job. Not to say that they don't still love doing it, but it can't capture the same excitement as when you go from here to here to here. I felt that about so many artists over the years. So yeah, this is a special time for Cleo Sol. And I was also blown away and impressed by, because she's 4 albums in, and I've enjoyed listening to these albums over the past couple years. And I also listened to a lot of Salt, and she didn't perform, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think she performed one Salt song, which is a little bit interesting. But if anybody out there has the set list, because I was looking online for it, haven't been able to find the set list for this Hollywood Bowl show pop up yet. If you do have the set list, please send that in the comments or link me to that in the comments. But I don't think she did one Salt song, and I was hoping that she did the song Pray For Me. That is on Salt's latest album. It's the final track on the album. And again, it's one of those slow down ballads where it just feels like a religious experience listening to Cleo Sol on that song, Pray For Me. But I knew that she had some songs that I really liked. You know, she dropped 2 albums in 2023, one called Heaven and another called Gold. I remember liking a few songs from each of those. I like at least a few songs from her Rose in the Dark debut from 2020. I like songs from her album Mother. That's the second album. I like songs from all these albums. And, you know, she has like some early single sounding songs like Young Love and Shine, which both sounded phenomenal during this concert. But listening to her in this concert, I didn't realize how many of her songs sound this good, to where you're standing there and a couple minutes into the song, you're so overcome by the euphoria and the build and the way that she kind of poetically, there's like a formlessness. It's not overly structured to where you got verse, chorus, verse, chorus. It's a very kind of free-flowing, river-like poetic verse, and then she gets into what I'm assuming is a chorus, and then it just kind of takes the music and the song up a notch emotionally as well. So you're listening and you're kind of bobbing and swaying to like a song, and then a couple minutes into it, you're just wondering, like, how did we get here? Because you're just standing there kind of stupefied by what you're hearing. Again, this was quite the experience. And again, although she's still a relatively new artist, like that debut album just came out in 2020. So she had one 2020 album, a 2021 album, and then 2 2023 albums. So she's still relatively new, but her body of work already allows her to put on this concert, and it doesn't feel like there are major drop-offs in the set list. Like, she's got enough good songs to fill this up. Yes, it could have been, it could have been truncated from a, 1.5 or 1 hour 45, however long she was up there. Yeah, you could have made it a 45, 50-minute set, but I didn't think that the duration of the concert caused it to lack or to really have dull moments where I find myself looking at, the time to see how much longer do we have. Like, there wasn't once that took place during this concert. Although I will say, and I've said this in the past, look, objectively speaking, Los Angeles is a pretty bad crowd. Like, ask any artist that tours. In terms of the actual response that you're getting in real time, like if you yell something like, how you feeling tonight or something, and you're listening for the audience feedback, if you go region over region over region, even as nearby as the Bay Area, and compare it to LA, LA loses to just about everybody. The crowd is always so dead. Not that people aren't enjoying the show. LA just doesn't know how to properly show love volume wise, right? And being able to give you that throughout however long the set is. The same thing occurs during like the sporting events. Like, you go to a Rams game, the visiting crowd is often louder than the Rams crowd. If you listen to Laker games, even when some of the coolest stuff happens, sometimes you get those crescendos and those loud explosions of the crowd noise, but often it sounds very unappreciative. And I've been to so many different concerts in and around LA where I almost feel embarrassed. Like I almost want to like let the artists know, like, hey, don't take this personal. Like, we're all loving this. This is just how LA responds and gives its response or lack thereof. This is just how LA gets down. So you let me know if you have kind of found the same. Let me know what region you're from, and let me know if you've been to any shows in LA and what your experience was in terms of like the crowd's energy. Like, she was giving us a lot more energy, I feel, than we were giving her back, and she stayed upbeat. She never once made LA feel that we weren't appreciative. Like, she sounded super grateful. And I remember even one of her posts before the show, she warned people saying that this is an outdoor venue concert, so bring a sweater or bring something to stay warm. I just thought that type of hospitality is something that I'm not used to coming from an artist. So I thought that was really cool. But she did have her moments of interaction with, you know, the LA crowd. And again, I thought that the LA crowd, given what we were getting from her, I thought that the LA crowd was underwhelming. But make no mistake, I feel like most, if not everybody, enjoyed this concert. And I really hope that somebody was recording this thing well enough for her to release a visual companion, maybe with her next album or something, but either have those Radio City or have one of those Radio City music halls recorded and then like put out, whether it's on a streaming service or whether it's just privately put out there or sold, whatever. But I hope that somebody captured this Hollywood Bowl performance, because again, this was pretty sensational from an artist who is in that sweet spot of the career to where I think that awareness wise, her audience is about to double in 2025, 2026. That's how I feel about it. But yeah, let me know if you attended either the NYC shows or this concert at the Hollywood Bowl. Let me know what your experience was. Again, me and the group that I went with, the family that I went with, we all loved it. And we were just like kind of shaking our head like, damn. I mean, it was one of those where it's often we will talk, you know, between songs and stuff like that. And we did have moments where we were, you know, kind of talking between songs, but it was one of those that was so good that you're just standing there and you don't want to break attention wise from what's taking place on the stage between her band, the backup singers. Everybody played their part, and together collectively they are cooking with gas. Like, what they have going on, it is really something special. So give Cleo Sol a listen. I would start with the first album, Rose in the Dark, and work your way from there. If you're into Salt, let me know what your favorite Salt album is. But again, she is kind of that prominent voice, at least in Salt's best moments. Salt is a collective. She's not the only one vocalizing, but in those special moments in the Salt catalog, I feel like those vocal moments are usually being delivered by her. Again, it's a bit of a spiritual experience. And I had high expectations coming in, and those expectations were exceeded at the Hollywood Bowl. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Cleo Sol if you are aware. If you're not aware, please give her a listen. Again, it's one of those, I think that she is really a unique artist. I think that she's probably one of my favorite artists in any genre who is currently active. Like, if you were to ask me, like, if somebody was to announce that they were coming out with like an album in 2 to 3 weeks and you gave me a list of different artists, she would probably be top 5 in terms of artists that I would be excited about for their next upcoming album. And as soon as I saw that she was going to be performing live, I hit up, you know, my chat room with my cousin, my brother. I asked my girl, I'm like, let's get something together. Shout out to my parents for watching our baby boy while we went out to the Hollywood Bowl to experience this. But I knew that it was going to be something special, so I called around and we, you know, got a party of 6 together. We all had a very enjoyable night at the Hollywood Bowl. But yeah, let me know if you got a chance to go. Let me know what you have heard or haven't heard from Cleo Sol in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you love music like I do. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.